Hi everyone, I have updated my card tablet in my Mazda RX-8. I've replaced the previous Huawei MediaPad with a Nexus 7. All the previous controls have been retained using an Arduino, open works. One of the main differences besides the tablet itself is that the Nexus 7 has the ability to turn the screen on and off using a small magnet, so like a magnetized cover. So what I've done is I've actually put a magnet behind here, so when the tablet closes, the magnet sits near this area here, which turns the screen off for me. So and then when it raises itself again, the screen turns back on. Also, the Nexus 7 is a bit wider than the MediaPad, so there's only about 3 or 4 millimeters on either side. So I couldn't fit the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack in, which is up here. So I'm using Bluetooth, and also there was no way I could put the USB charging and sync cable in either. But lucky for me and for those of you using the Nexus 7, it has wireless charging. So if you can see up here, the tablet is charging and it's doing so wirelessly. I have used a wireless charging pad at the back, and I basically taped it to the back and ran the cable through there, and it's charging wirelessly. Other than that, everything works. I get navigation, Waze, Google Maps, music. Just to show you that the sound works, I'll just play a YouTube video. Have one loaded already. Just an ad.
Okay,
Don't know if you can hear that.
Where's the nearest RSPCA?
So yeah, it's just sound works, video works. Let's make this full screen. There's one thing that you should know if you're using a Nexus 7 is that the screen, the height is higher than the cutout on this RX-8 nav hood. So what that means is, you see these buttons down here? I had to download a app called, I think it's called Back Button. There it is, Back Button. So what it does is it puts these buttons on the screen. Below here, there's actually more screen, but because of the cutout so small, you can't actually see it. And there used to be the back, home, and recents button there. So you won't be able to see that. You have to use these virtual buttons instead. I'm actually going to do a semi DIY following this. So if you're interested in seeing how to take all this stuff apart and take this hood out and the inside of this, keep watching. Okay, so if you want to remove this piece, you have to first remove the vents. Before you can remove the vents, you have to remove the head unit. Before you can remove the head unit, you have to remove this compartment. So this is the cigarette lighter compartment. Before you can remove this compartment, you have to take off the gear shift knob. Before you can do that, you want to shift, whether it's auto or manual, shift the stick as far back as possible so that you have enough space to actually pull this thing out. But before all of that, there is actually a bolt underneath here on the driver's side in this right-hand drive model. There's a bolt which is holding this head unit in place. If you can't take that bolt off, don't attempt anything else, because you'll be stuck at this step. So I'm going to try and show you this bolt. So this bolt is on this side, the driver's side, and you have to pop off this panel. Now this panel is sort of hinged on the bottom end, so if you just give it a nice pull, a strong pull, there's clips on this end and on this end. So this end's already come out, so if you pull it, it's like a nice pop, and these clips go into this hole, and the hinge is at the bottom, and you can just pull it out. It's just two sharp ends that go into these little sockets. So you take it off, put it on the chair. Now I want to try and show you that bolt. Now that bolt you see there, that is not it. That is not the bolt. It is the one behind it. Behind where the bolt with the tape. The bolt that is currently covered by shadow, the bolt that you can now see. So the one in the back, not the one in the front. I will try and circle this on the video. But that's the bolt you need to remove. If you can't remove it, then do not attempt. dismantling the head unit. That will stop you from doing anything. So remove that bolt first. Now I'm going to try and remove that now. Okay, so I have removed the bolt. This is the bolt. I used some tools. So this, I'm not sure what it's called. It's like an extender with a hex socket at the end, which you just put through and loosen the bolt. It doesn't have to be flexible as long as it's long enough. If you got a straight one, that's fine. As soon as it's loose enough to be turned by your fingers, I used this magnetic, I'm not sure what it's called, magnetic rod. It's got a magnet on the end, and as soon as it's loose enough to be turned by your fingers, I just put this through, stuck to the end of the bolt, and I just finished loosening the bolt with this, and that makes sure that the bolt doesn't fall because it's stuck to the end of the magnet. Now I'm going to try and show you again where that bolt was. So you see that? The inside bit where that tape is, that's the bolt I'm talking about, not the one on the front. So once you've removed that bolt, we can continue to removing the head unit. Okay, so if you want to remove the rest of the stuff, first thing you need to do is move this gear shifter as far back as possible, and in the auto version you actually have to turn the car on and you put your foot on the brake and then move it back, and then you want to remove the gear knob, so just twist anti-clockwise and it'll slowly start coming off. Okay, I've done most of the twisting off camera, but after a while it comes straight off. Now the next step is to take this panel off, because when you want to remove this, the screws are actually underneath here, so we have to remove this panel. And to do that, you just get a screwdriver and you put it in either of these gaps on either side and just pry it open. I'm going to try and do it one-handed. Also, when you get your screwdriver, get a cloth and then just wrap the end in the cloth so that you don't damage the trim. So you just get it straight there. Okay, so it's already open, so you need a bit of force, and as you pull, the rest of it comes up. You might want to open this. So the rest of it has come up. You might have to prop this side open. I'm doing it one-handed, so... Okay, so you got this end open, and then the whole thing just comes out, right? Just comes out like so, like so. And there is some cables connected. That's for the lighting, I believe. So you see here these clips. This clip went into this hole. This clip here was here, and there's some several clips around the gear shift area. So to unplug this, there's a little clip. If it'll focus, there's a little clip here. Just push it down and then just pull, and off comes the cable. Put this somewhere safe. On the floor, it's always safe. So now we have removed that top piece, and as I mentioned before, you see these screws here. That's what's holding this in. So I'm just going to remove these coins first. Good idea to remove the cigarette lighter. And once you have removed this will pop out, and I'm going to go ahead and unscrew those bolts. Okay, so those screws have been removed. I'll just show you what they look like again. So they were in there and there. Took it off. Now this pops right out if you just give it a pull. There you go. So it's a pretty hard pull. It comes out. And also, there are cables, more cables. So one is for the light, and one is for the cigarette lighter. So I'm going to try and see if I can show you guys how to take it off. So here again, there's a clip. Just push that in, Let's see if we can get a focus. Right, so that's the clip. Just push that and it will slide out. And again, similarly, on this end, there's a clip. As you can see, there's a clip. Push that in, and I might need 2 hands for this. Okay, I'm just going to pause the video. Okay, so I've managed to take that clip off. I needed a screwdriver actually. So use a screwdriver to push against the clip here so that it goes down so that you can pull it out. Now, the hardest bit to remove is actually the light bulb. You'll notice it slides in, right? So it slides in that way. Let's try and get close up. So it slides in, and it's held in by this little tab up the top here. It's really hard to get out. I recommend using a screwdriver or lifting this piece up, this whole, try and raise this piece up so that you can, this whole angled piece up so that you can slide that bulb out, right? So I'm just gonna try that now. Okay, after attempting that, I found that the easiest way to do it is actually to put a screwdriver in here and just push it in, and then while you push it in, it'll raise this piece upwards, and you can just slide it out. But it does take some force, so don't be afraid. So now that we have got the light bulb out, this piece can go on the floor. So you have all these pieces dangling around here. Just remember where everything goes, I guess. Now the next step is to take off the head unit. Now the head unit, underneath, you'll have, actually I'm just going to turn the flashlight on, just give me a second. Okay, much better. Underneath, you'll see 2 screws, these ones, this one and this one. We are going to remove them, and then once you remove them, this should slide right out because we removed that bolt earlier. So let's do that. Okay, bolts have been removed. Now, I think from memory there were 2 clips up here and maybe 2 clips down there, I'm not sure, but if you put your finger here, there's a hole, and there's also a hole here. So what I recommend you do is take both hands, put them in here, and just pull. Right, I only have one hand at the moment. Okay, so you pull that and there's a pop. That's this end coming out, and then pull this side. Okay, another pop. Might need 2 hands for this. I'm gonna get my other hand free. Okay, so it's popped out. It takes quite some force, but it does pop out. You see the top? There's that white bit there. That's a clip. So that's a white clip there. Another clip over here, which goes in that hole. And obviously there's probably a clip down there. Okay, so there it is. That's the clip there, which goes into that hole. And similarly on the other side. So you slide this out as far as you can, which is not very far really, which is about there. And then there are some cables behind it, which are all tied up. You can't really see, but that's pretty much as far as you can slide it. You can probably take out the cables if you want to take the whole thing out. But for my video, I'm not taking the whole thing out. I'm just going to remove the top piece. So once this is out, we have access to these bolts, one on either side. Just take them out, and then this should, again with some clips, this should pop out. So let's do that now. Okay, so the bolts are out. It's probably worth mentioning that the first time I took this out, this actually didn't come out this far. Some of the cables at the back were tied up using some tape. So what I had to do was actually cut the tape so that the cables could expand a little bit more, so I could pull it out a bit more. I don't remember exactly how far it came out the first time I took it out, but yeah, you won't get much space here. So now that the bolts are out, we can actually pull this piece straight out from memory. I might need 2 hands for this. Okay, so yep, I was right. You can just pull it straight out. I've got one side out so far. I'm going to try and do the other one on video for you. Okay, there you go. So you give it a nice pull. There's some clips on this end, and maybe some small ones at the top. So you give it a nice pull and the piece comes out. Put it on the floor again. And then you can see the vents. Okay, so underneath here, these are the bolts holding the top piece to the dash. So we're going to remove those, and this whole piece again should pop out. So let's try that. Remove the bolts. It's worth mentioning that those bolts at the top here are round, whereas all the other bolts that are taken off, with the exception of the one down here, are black and they are hex. See that? These ones are everywhere else. These round ones are just for this top piece. So just keep that in mind. So here again it's held down by clips. So if we just give it a nice pull, there's clips all along here and all along here. So if we can just lift it pretty much. So we just lift it. Okay, and there you go. The whole piece has come out now. So all I did was just lift it up, and there we go. It's free from the dash. And that's pretty much the entire disassembly for an installation of the tablet up here. So once you have this piece out, there's some screws at the back. I might show you that next. Okay, the rest of this video is non-standard, right? So I've already replaced the screen in this nav hood with the tablet, which is broken, which is why I'm doing this again. So the tablet is broken. I'm replacing the tablet with my new tablet. Well, not new, second-hand Nexus 7. It's going to go in here. And to take this open, behind it, some screws. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you take that off, this bottom section detaches from the faceplate. So let's do that now. Okay, so all the screws have been removed. Again, as I mentioned before, this is a non-standard video now. All these cables, non-standard stuff that I've done to make my tablet work. These last 2 screws are actually for the buttons. They actually hold the buttons in place, so they actually pop out now. Now this whole tray at the bottom will come straight off. So that's where the tablet is. I might need 2 hands for this. I'm just going to pause the video while I remove the parts. Okay, so I've separated the 2 parts. At the back, there are 2 screws, not the one you see now. That hole, there used to be a screw there, and there used to be a screw there, the bigger hole on the left. Now, I have already removed them, but just for those that have those screws in place, they actually designed this in a way such that you can't get a screwdriver in through here. It's quite difficult. So what they did is this hole here is actually made bigger. So you can actually, I'll just get a screwdriver, put the screwdriver through the hole, and then you can access that screw there. So once you've taken those 2 screws off, this should pop off. There may be some clips on. There were clips on either side. So there's a clip here on this side, and a clip on this side. I might need 2 hands for this. Okay, it's coming off. Okay, so there was a clip on this side, which holds in, which goes into that hole there. The clip, it's hard to see here, that little bit there. I'm just going to point at it, my screwdriver. That little bit in there, that's the clip. So what I did was you put the screwdriver in and you lift it. You lift this bit up so that you can release it. So this is the inside of the tablet. It's not pretty. I stuffed it with foam, try and hold it in place. I have an Arduino underneath there. So my job now is to take this out and replace it with the Nexus 7. Okay, so I have removed the old tablet, which I have here, full of tape. This is the Huawei MediaPad, which died on me. So I've replaced it with the Nexus 7. I've pulled that out. I've kept the Arduino, the cables. The Nexus 7 is wider. So I used to have a headphone jack that used to go here, which no longer fits. So I tried carving it as much as I could. It still doesn't fit. So I'm gonna use Bluetooth instead. So the Nexus 7 has a magnetic switch on the lower corner, around here, around this end here, just slightly up where my finger is. If you put a magnet over that area on the screen side, the screen turns off. So what I've done is I've actually got some magnets and I've taped it to this bit, but the underside of this. So I'm gonna try and show you guys. So if I lift this up, the tablet, it actually turns on because the magnet has left this area. So if I push it back down, from the reflection you'll see that the screen turns off. Now I'm going to try and capture where the magnet is. See, you see that electrical tape there? If I can get it to focus. Might be a bit hard. I'm going to remove the tablet, so I'm going to take the tablet out now. It's quite a tight fit. Okay, so removing the tablet, screen's on because magnet has been removed. Underneath here, you'll see where I have taped my magnets. So just two really thin magnets. I've taped it. That's actually the sweet spot, right? If you get it correct, the tablet will turn off when it's face down, and then as soon as it passes, when it comes up and it passes that area, the screen will turn back on again. Experiment with a bit, and you'll find that sweet spot. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the tablet back in, tape it all up again. It's not going to be pretty. Stuff it with the foam and put it back in the car. There's one thing I want to mention before I put it all back together again. The Nexus 7 is quite wide, so it just fits inside this hood. There's maybe 3 or 4 millimeters on either side. You really have to cut a lot of the hood for it to fit, and which also means, as I said before, you can't put the headphone jack in, and there is no way you can put the charging or USB cable in. So luckily, the Nexus 7 has wireless charging. So I bought this slim wireless charger. So if we just put this on top, it should start charging. So there you go, you see it's charging. Another thing you might want to know this is that if the battery is full and you put it on the wireless charger, the screen will not turn on. So some people might use the charging feature as a way to turn the screen on and off. But luckily for us with Nexus 7s, we can have the magnet that'll do it for us. So I'm going to tape this wireless charger to the back of my Nexus 7 here, and then plug in this charging cable to the charging plate. And you'll also need to know that this power comes from the car, obviously. Now the car has a 12-volt battery, and we need 5 volts to charge the Nexus 7. So the easiest, quick and dirtiest way to do this, to convert that, is to use a car charger. So that's what I've done. I've soldered on the ends of this cable to a car charger, which the other end of this USB cable will go into, and effectively charge the tablet. And the other end of this actually goes to the 12-volt power in the car. So let's install this thing. Okay, so everything's taped down, foam is back in, everything's in place. Time to put the lid on, attach it to the cover again, and back in the car. Okay, everything is back to where it was. Now if I turn the key on and hit the open button, opens, Nexus 7 installed, close it again, closes, screen is off, see that screen is off, open it, screen is on. Hope this video was helpful and thanks for watching.